Alright guys, here we are. We're going to do a shave that I've been looking forward to for a while, just in terms of scientific curiosity. Here's the other gear. It was a little hard to do the thumbnail today because we've got a long box here as the product. Obviously, Arko for men, shaving, cream. This is the Hydrate version. We are going to be using a 7 o'clock black, super platinum. It's got 15 uses or so on it, and so it has been used before for sure. This is a handle that was made by Prometheus Handcrafts, but most importantly, the B13 from Declaration Grooming is the knot, and that is one of my favorites, my favorite batches from Declaration. The razor we're using is the same one I've used for a while now. The Wilkinson Sword Sticky. And so here's the 7 o'clock super platinum black. This one says Hydrate, and the other ones that I bought at the same time, because there was this big sale going on. One says Comfort, one says Cool. It doesn't really tell you much in terms of other information about what it means by comfort. What does it mean by hydrate? English? No English there. And even the Cool one didn't have any overtly menthol type ingredients in the list, and so, but it could be using a synthetic cooling agent. I'm not sure. The one that actually kind of smelled the best when I uncapped them, the one for Comfort with the orange here, it has actually expired 2023, so that's a couple of years old, out of date. But when I put it on my fingers and moved it around, it didn't feel bad at all. It felt like it would perform well, but obviously I can't give an objective, a fair criticism on that. So we're not going to use that one today, even though it smelled the best. It was more like a kind of a woody, and all of these smells are very slight, but more like a woody guy fragrance kind of thing. So we're going to do the green today. So this is Hydrate. Does that mean you have to give up comfort, which is what that other one said? You know, or if you want the cool, do you give up hydration? Do you give up comfort? Probably not, but they had to name them something. You know, I think those kind of names are really tough for the consumer to know how to buy, and that's one of the reasons why I bought all three. I don't really like creams very much. They don't last long on the shelf. They can tend to go bad more. They have more water in them. And those hard puck soaps, we've got decades old hard puck soaps that are still great latherers because they just last a long time. They don't have water in them as much, and that's part of it. So let us get going here. I need to be quick today. So the hard pucks last the longest. The cropes, like the one I almost used today, Amyris by Stirling. It's one where they are still selling it on their site, but it is going to be discontinued because the scented part of the mixture, the fragrance that they have for that soap, is he couldn't source it anymore, and so once he sells out of that stock, it's going to be gone. It's based similar to the Intrepid Man line that they did, the scent that they did, which is inspired by Creed Santal, I believe it is. And so if you like Creed Santal and you did not get in on Intrepid Man, this may be a good one to try before it's gone out, before it's gone. You'll probably be able to resell it once it's gone because people missed it. They said the difference is the sandalwood note in this mixture smelled more like Amyris, hence the name, than the sandalwood that they used to make the Intrepid Man. So that's the difference. Smelling it right now, yeah, I can see how that's a nice cologne scent. I think I'm gonna like it. But that is for another shave. Let's get on. And so it's hard to choose, actually, between that Amyris. And I've got a Cella soap, that professional base that they have, that's a scent more along the lines, well, why don't I just show you? Buongiorno al Sandalo. So sandalwood, you know, kind of thing here. And I bought the full tub of this one because this was likely to be a scent that I was going to like more. And the Reserva Fresco was the Cella that I bought in the sample. And I'm glad I did that because this is more of a standard, just good smelling scent, where this one I think I like better. So those were the three that I was really debating on which one to do. But I've been waiting on this one for a long time. I probably bought the tubes a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago, maybe even 3. Oh, yeah, definitely more than probably about 3 or 4 years ago. But this one is still within its, has not expired. Still within its useful time range. So we should be okay to get a good, fair evaluation. The good thing about creams is that they travel well because they have some water built into them already. Some people think that they mix up into a lather quicker. I guess kind of they do, but it still takes a bit to get them into a proper, good, wonderful lather. And so in that sense, I don't really think they're quicker. At least in my opinion, for my purposes, for the style of lather that I prefer. You know, but if you're super basic in terms of your needs, you can just take a wet brush, put a little cream on it, and then start working it. If you like face lathering, and if you don't want it to be as hydrated as it could be, you know, you like drier lathers, then you can definitely do that, and that sure is convenient. With these tubes, it's nice because you can measure a specific amount. You can just go by length. You know, there you go. Now, appearance-wise, I didn't really know what to expect, but all three that I tested, I rubbed them in my fingers to test the slickness, and all of them were quite nice, and they all look basically like this, kind of a pearlized, yeah, that's not in focus, there we go, kind of a pearlized appearance. Now that I've opened them, it'd be interesting to see if they go bad. The one that's expired, see if it goes bad quicker. Now, you can also, as a shortcut, rub this on your face. And that's the equivalent kind of a face lathering. I don't recommend that because then where is the soap going to come from for your second and third pass? Well, it's got to only come from your brush because you're washing it out of your face. And, you know, and so that is kind of problematic in terms of having the good consistency last. So this is super, super soft. It's a true cream. There's just no, you know, kind of structure to it at all. It just very easily smushes down. And you don't even have to really spread it around. At this point, what I'm doing is just trying to get it off my finger. I'm not even trying to spread it around like I would a soap. Okay, so you saw that was maybe 3/4 of an inch of the cream. And so I'm going to get my face wet before I keep going. I do have about some growth here, about maybe 4 days or something like that. And it's about 4 millimeters, maybe 5 days. So we will see how the Wilkinson sword razor does against that kind of length. I'm going to do my usual, shake a lot of the water out, but it's still got a good bit of water still left in it. See, you still saw the drop there. And let's just get going here. Tilt down for you guys. Oh yeah, immediately the scent starts to come up. Watery and sudsy at first. A lot of new guys think that they need to get a cream, and many of them erroneously think that they need to get that because it's more luxurious and it's a better product. And many people say cream when they really mean just some kind of shaving soap in general. And so what you should recommend to them is like a Crope, for instance. But the biggest thing that people say about shaving creams, true creams like this, is that they are quicker to whip up a lather. And since I can do a whole 3-pass shave in 9 minutes, I don't really think that holds up. And that's without a cream. Now, it has developed into a nice, creamy looking lather. I will say that I've tested a bunch of creams like Taylor of Old Bond Street and some of those old venerable organizations, and the creams just are very subpar when you compare them to any good Crope. And so any good Crope, especially something like Stirling, Barrister and Mann, Summer Break, Mammoth, any of those guys will be able to put out a better lather than almost all creams. It's just the nature of the chemistry of it. In terms of slickness, that kind of thing. Now this one looks very nice. Is gravity affecting the cream yet? I don't think so. But I don't know that this is going to be one that I can push a lot of water into and get. Let's just kind of feel it here. Oh yeah, see that? I mean, I don't think I need to push it too much more with water because the feel between my fingers, it looks good, but the feel between my fingers is not all that slick. And so I think this is one of those that's kind of for those people who like a drier shave. So let me just get a little bit better mix and then we'll start using it. So you can see that 3/4 of an inch of the length that I squeezed out has produced this much soap, and that looks like plenty for 3 passes of lather, 3 passes of shaving. It's kind of staying up on the wall, for the most part. And so a better soap, I would definitely push more water in. All right, let's see what we get. Refresh the water on my face a little bit. Now, Arko as a hard soap or Crope, the stick, it comes in the stick. It does come in a puck as well. I've never really used the puck because I wasn't just super enamored with the stick, so I didn't feel the need to get the puck. A lot of people say it's super slick, but they are in for a neat surprise if they ever jump into something like Stirling and whip it up to a good lather with lots of water. Arko is one of those, the stick is one of those kind of like Martin de Condre and some of those other coconut oil formulations that I didn't wash my face beforehand, and so you can see it's kind of sapping my lather with those skin oils, occupying and kind of killing the lather, and that's to be expected. All right, so will the Wilkinson sword be super tuggy with this 7 o'clock black blade? Ooh, nice. Seems like it's going to cut competently. A tiny bit of tugging, but with this amount of growth, you kind of expect that. Not uncomfortable at all. So it seems like the lather is doing its job. Nice. Interesting. The lather that was on my fingertips when I was testing it, is making the Wilkinson sword be more slick. It's not as tacky as it is if I had either just wet hands, you know. That's interesting. Now, since I've got so much growth, I'm just kind of quickly covering some areas so that I can knock down that growth and rinse the razor. Always good razor technique. I can flip it around as much as I want, but always hold it lightly. And my short strokes enable me to keep the angle right, because I can feel if the angle is off, and I can make an adjustment on the next stroke. All right, how's the residual? Pretty nice, pretty nice. I'm happy with that. Well, I think people who might buy the Arko cream are not trying to make it be a luxury soap. It just needs to perform, you know, maybe smell good. And the place where I bought it had it on a big sale, which is why I bought all 3 of them. I think it was a sale on AliExpress on a certain time of the year or something like that, maybe. I mean, it may have been through Maggard Razors, but I think it was AliExpress. The creams also will not give you as many shaves per ounce of product, and which makes total sense when you think about it, because you're getting less soap per ounce because there's more water in the, matter of fact, the first ingredient is water. You're getting more water in the mix, and so by definition, there's less soap per ounce. And so they are less of a value. A crope or the hard puck. Hard pucks have kind of always been one of the best values out there. Like at one point, the fine classic puck was, hard puck was $12.50, I think, and it would just give tons of shaves. And Stirling will give me about a year of shaves, a little bit over a year, and that's at 5.8 ounces of product. And that's a crope. So, you know, now I will say an exception in terms of performance is the Leah brand of soap, specifically the Pro tube. It's like a light blue and red and white. Great performance with that one. It felt like a good quality soap. Water. As expected, a little bit of stubble was left over after that first pass, but pretty much gone now. And so yeah, the Wilkinson Sword Sticky was up to the task. Now, you know, here we are playing around, and this is all I've been able to grab. There's a little bit of lather left in my bowl. Now this is going to be plenty, you know, but just for grins, why don't we squeeze just a little bit out onto the brush, and that represents maybe a 1/5 or a 1/6 of the amount of lather I put in for the whole thing. And you can also maybe give your brush just a little bit more water and see what happens. Not much. brush is kind of absorbing it. There's probably that extra water. Didn't need it. There is a very light coating though. And another thing, something I rarely ever do, you can squeeze the extra goo. Now, of course, you see how soupy that is, but that's okay, see, because that stuff is still really slick if it's a decent soap, and this, as it turns out to be, is a slick product. In fact, I probably like the cream better than the traditional Arko stick. The stick is also super convenient for travel because you just get your face wet and you can rub it all over your face and then go. It's more of a face lathering style of doing everything. But, you know, some people like that. Yeah, nice and slick. Just kind of clean up passes just to get it all. And that weird angle I need to do right here. Very comfortable razor, and so it's got a nice mild geometry to it. However, as you can see now, I didn't need to use the clippers to take down that extra growth. It was still comfortable on the first pass, and then the rest of them have been terrific. And I've got a great close shave with nice residual slickness here. They're still, you know, so I'd rate that really as a pretty good cream. If creams are best for you for some reason, then I can recommend the Arko cream, at least this one, which is the hydrating one. It'd be interesting to use the other two and see how they stack up. Is the comfort one actually more comfortable? Is it less hydrating? We'll see. All right, I'm going to clean some stuff up here. About the brush, yeah, the 13 is just one of my favorite batches because the tips have had enough product, enough of the bleaching agent on there where they really soften up nicely. So a lot of comfort there. But mainly the bristles here, they've got enough relaxation to where they splay easily, and that's important to me because it keeps going with that comfort. With something stiffer in terms of the shafts here, it wouldn't be as enjoyable to push that around on my face. So the 13 batch, love it. In terms of the ingredients for this, let's just see what the first bunch of them are. Aqua, water, glycerin, palmitic acid, stearic acid, coconut acid, potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, the parfum, you know, the scent, and then there's some others. So it does have the coconut oil type products in it, and I think that glycerin is a large part of why it performs so well. All right, excellent. About the scent though, it was very light, it was enjoyable, wasn't too special, but that's okay. This is not one of those luxury items where you're trying to get some designer fragrance out of it, right? They kind of want it to just appeal to a good number of people and just be pleasant and enjoyable, and it was. Can I detect anything of it right now? Yeah, I can, but it's just a general pleasant scent. It does almost have maybe a slight green tea, you know, what you think about, maybe that Perazzo green, you know, that kind of stuff. It does have some notes that make me think green, but that could be the power of suggestion, right? But it's pleasant and enjoyable. It's not going to get in the way of, to my opinion, any of the colognes or products you may want to use after. Matter of fact, you know what I want to use now? I want to use the Amyris Splash, and I can smell that while I am cleaning up my gear. Yeah, that's nice. And that's not so harsh that it is going to offend anybody. I like that. I think I picked up some Amyris from some other scents, and I've liked it, and so that's why it was kind of an easy reason to pull the trigger when they came out with this. I checked today, and the Amyris is still available on the website. At least the soap is, but it did have the note, like I said earlier, that they will discontinue it whenever it runs out because they can't source the scent anymore. All right. Maybe what they did was they ordered a batch of scent, and then the fragrance that they would then put into their soap and Splash and all the other products, but then it didn't quite have the sandalwood note that they wanted to mimic the Santal, you know, from Creed, and so then they just kept that as a product because they still liked it, and then they got a better batch, used that for Intrepid Man. And then once Intrepid Man, because right now Intrepid Man was sold out, at least the soap was, and so that might have been gone. You know, maybe that was the same formula or the same kind of from the same maker and had enough of the same products where it was also a scent that they would no longer have after a while. They couldn't source anymore. And then once the Intrepid Man was kind of gone, or once they just decided to do something else, they used the scent that they had kind of put on the shelf to create the Amyris scent here, and so they're able to run that out now. Just guessing. That's the kind of thing that can happen. All right. Very good. Oh yeah, here with the scent, I'm getting some woody notes. That's a really nice scent. It's got some good character to it, some interesting parts to it, just a hint of like musky kind of stuff, a little amber. That's really nice. That's a good splash to have. It's not surprising that I didn't have to add as much water here because the number one, the cream has water in it. Number two, because it has water in it, using the same, like a quarter teaspoon of Stirling Crope and a quarter teaspoon of this cream would not be comparable because you get less soap product in that. And so I had less soap in my lather today than I would if I were to use the same amount of Stirling. You get it? And so not only was there water in the mix, but because of that, there was less soap in the mix of what I used. And so that's why I kind of, I didn't run out of lather because, as you saw, that wonderful goopy stuff in the third pass was perfect. It worked very, very well. It's messy, but it worked really well. So I did have to add, you know, about 5 milliliters of water to the mix, and it turns out that might be about perfect. I think maybe if I were to add more water, it would have thinned it down a little too much. But then if I were to back off, it wouldn't have been as slick, and I enjoyed the slickness that I got today, and so I might have just kind of stumbled into exactly the right mix for this one. All right, there we go. At least in terms of my opinion, that was what that is. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the Amyris aftershave. It's settling down more in terms of letting the alcohol burn off. I really like that. So the Arko cream surprised me in that it was slicker than I thought it would be. So really happy with that. That's a neat product, especially if you can get it for cheap. And if you already like creams, I still think you can get better value for your money if you go with a, you know, a Crope like Stirling. and it's just going to give you more shaves per amount of product that you have, and it's going to be just as or better of a lather. It's definitely more capable of delivering a luxurious kind of lather that has that creaminess while also having a lot of slickness that you give it because you keep adding water. So just that's my opinion on that. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.